just like many of you out there, I didn't get the proper tools or strategies. If you've been coming back season after season and listen to me, you know that this is a part of my story. I myself did not have the proper tools or strategies, which was why when I got into the dating stage, I was busting myself upside the head because I just didn't know. And the funny thing about not knowing is you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the stuff that you need to know that is so important that can catapult you to the next level in your life. So I had to start reading. I had to start taking digital courses. I had to start asking the real questions, the deeper questions, not only to other couples, but also those to myself. I had to do some inner work in order to be the Marshawn that you are seeing sitting in front of you. So I had to stop blaming all of those other people, men, situationships, dating relationships, and relationships that took it to girlfriend, boyfriend level, but never went any further than that. I had to stop blaming all of those people and realize that I was the only common denominator. And in order for me to be able to be better, do better, me, Marshawn, had to own that I was the only common denominator in all of those situationships, all of those relationships, all of those 1 and 2 off dating relationships. I had to own that I was the only common denominator because it's so easy. It's so easy to point the finger. And so Love Restored was created. So you, just like I did many years ago, have to restore the love for yourself. That childlike love that we have when we first come into the world. Now, will you ever get back to that? No, because you have been tainted by the world. However, I can help you shift your perspective, shift the way that you are showing up, shift your mindset about things and about people and about the men that you attracted into your life. So you could make the outwardly shift that everybody sees. Right? So Love Restored is all about restoring the love for yourself and then that carrying over into your relationships and or your marriages. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the topic today, which again is why dating and asking a ton of questions is so important. The first reason why asking a ton of questions while you're dating is so important is because asking questions is how both of you get to know one another. Listen, I remember when I was in the dating stages, right? And I would be out on a date with a guy and it would be so boring for the person to never ask any questions or for me to ask a question and then you're giving me one word answers. Now, part of that, I'm still taking responsibility because part of that was because of the type of question that I was asking. I was asking a yes or no question versus a thought-provoking question, which means he had to sit back and think, come up with the answer, and then share that answer with me. So part of it was me. However, when you're dating, it's really all about gathering information. And so I cannot gather information from said person that I'm dating if he's only answering that question and not following up or giving more. And so what I had to learn is that most men only answer that question. They don't take a deep dive unless you keep asking questions. But then there is a problem with that because now it seems like it turns into an interview versus just a free-flowing conversation where you get to really experience the person and not, okay, here's my list. Here's the question. Okay, check yes or no. Here's the question, check yes or no. So you don't want it to turn into an interview style, but you still need to ask a ton of questions because this is how you're going to get to know if this person is your person. The second reason why you should be asking a ton of questions on your dates before you get the title is because it gives you a sense of clarity and a rise to deeper discussions on living styles, on fidelity, on gender roles, on marriage, on children, and a slew of other conversations. You're not asking the questions, especially as if you two are together. You're asking the questions in general. You're having a conversation. You're trying to gather, again, information and data. So when you walk away and you two part, you can reflect on how his answer made you feel, how you felt your personality aligned or not, how his values, what he was portraying in that moment, aligned with your values, right? And that could be how he was treating the waiter or waitress or just other people. Did he open up the door going into the restaurant, right? Did he open up your car door? If that is very important to you. If it's not important to you, then it doesn't matter. But the things that are important to you, are you paying attention to those things? Or are you really just thinking, I'm on my date, he is the one, not knowing anything about him? And tell me I'm not the only one that's done that. I know plenty of women because we have a tendency to move so fast. And especially if it has been a few months, or even in some cases, a few years before a man has paid you attention in that way, we have a tendency to cling on to the first person that starts showing us romantic attention, because we're thinking, well, I don't know when this is gonna come around again. And unfortunately, that sets you up for settling for less than what you could receive by just slowing down and waiting. Because just because they come in your face does not mean that you have to create space for them in your life. We have a tough time with not creating space, especially if it's been some time and distance in between the last person that you dated, the last situationship, the last person that paid you attention, and or the last person that you dated seriously, where it was just you two, you had title. So it gives you an opportunity to slow it down, look at things with clear eyes, not the rose-colored glasses that have a tendency to have a tendency to be there in the beginning. We don't want to look at the person through the rose-colored glasses. We want to get a sense of who he is showing up as, and if this is really him. And that's over a period of time. This is not on one date that you're going to be able to assess if the person that he's showing you in this moment is him all day, every day. This is how you are continuously going out on dates, continuously getting to know one another, continuously, asking your questions, continuously looking for red flags. It's a lot of things that go into it. But when you don't have the correct information, when you just don't know what you should be doing, a lot of times we're just going along with the flow. And we are not going along with the flow any longer. The third reason why dating and asking a ton of questions is so important is because it literally helps you find and identify if this person is right for you. That assessment and reflecting that I spoke about is what happens after you two part ways and your hormones are settling down, right? You're able to take a deep breath. And now you're able to really think about what actually happened on the date. What stood out to me that I liked? What stood out to me that I didn't like? Is it a deal breaker, the things that you didn't like? Are the things that did stand out to you, are they on your must-have list? Or is it, take it or leave it? I mean, that's cool, but I don't really need it. So being able to reflect, how did you feel with this person? Did you feel anxious? Did you feel kind of antsy with this person? Or were you relaxed? Like, being able to walk away and self-reflect is so important. And it's a step that a lot of people skip over, because then we don't want to have to face the truth. Because a lot of times we know when it's time to walk away and go. However, because I might have to start all over again, I don't want to walk away. I don't want to face the truth. I know in my spirit, I know in my gut, everything about me is telling me that this is not the person for me. And yet I'm still moving forward, only to be in the same situation months later, years later, decades later, when you finally face the truth of what was sitting right in front of you. And here's the thing, this is when you realize what's going on. When I was in the dating stages, I didn't know that red flags were things that don't go away. because I didn't even have the language red flag. When me and my first husband got together, I didn't have the language red flag. I was just like, I don't like cigarettes. He smoked. And so I'm like, I didn't know that that was a red flag. I didn't know stuff wouldn't go away that was going on before you got married. I was in that group or in that pool of women or people that think once we get married, that's going to change. Now, I know that cigarettes is a bad example because it's deeper than just that, but I mean, like, even behaviors, things that he was showing me, and I was like, I'm sure it's going to be different once we say I do. I'm sure it's going to be different. Not realizing that I don't have any control over if he's going to stop smoking in this instance. Or if you know, right, because I never actually dealt with cheating. I suspected, but I never caught, right? So some people know that they mate is cheating. They've caught them time and time again, like in the act. Somebody's pointed out, somebody sent you pictures, but you still stay and go back. So the point is, it's all about you walking away. So when you come back, you can have a better idea of, I can see myself in the life with him. Again, this is not over 1 date, 2 dates. This is over a period of time. But this is why it's so important to ask so many questions. This is why it's so important for when you're dating. Let's go down this road for a moment. When you are dating, this is why it's so important for you not to be out on a 7-hour damn date. No. Nope. Because as fast as it's going is as fast as that damn door gonna close. Because most of the time when a person is moving that fast, they either have something to hide or they are going to freak themselves out and they are going to ghost you. Because what he's going to be thinking is, I'm in a relationship. Whoa, what am I doing? So men do this better. They actually do reflect. And in his reflecting time, he has scared the mess out of himself. So don't be out there on those 7-hour diggity doggone date. 5-hour date, too long. The cap should be about 2 hours on a good one, because you want to feel like this is going to progress. Okay, the next time, let me see him in a different setting. Let's go and do some activity. You know, because I really try to stay away from the watching the movie, because there's so many things that are available to do, as well as you want to see him in different settings. In the movies, you can't do a whole lot of talking. So now if you're going to the movies and then maybe out for ice cream, that ice cream is maybe a 15 to 20 minute, maybe. But the 2.5 hours, because the movie's about 2.5 hours now. The 2.5 hours was pretty much silence because y'all trying to focus in on what's going on the movie screen. So in the beginning, I actually say stay away from the movie theater, because it is not real time for you to ask the questions that you should be asking. Number 4, this shows if the person is trying to really get to know you below the surface, right? Because when you're asking questions, you're leaning in. You're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. This happened. And okay, so can you tell me about X, Y, and Z? That's the follow-up. That's when you know somebody is really into what you have to say. If they are only answering your questions, but they hardly ever or never ask you a question about you, he ain't trying to get to know you on no deeper level. He has put you in the box, whatever box he decided to put you in, but he is not attracted to you in that way once you two met in person. But guess what? That's okay. That's okay. Because you're not looking for everybody. And you damn sure not looking for somebody that's just going to treat you like anything. Nope. He ain't the one. That's okay. He has the right to be a jerk. He can be a jerk. So I don't want you to play along and be a jerk. Enjoy yourself, because you may need practice by just having conversation with the opposite sex. Now you might be saying, Marshawn, we in 2023. Why do you think I would need practice? Because I have clients. And this is what they're telling me, that they still need to practice just having conversations and being comfortable with the opposite sex, because some of them have not dated for years. Some of them haven't dated for decades. And so now they're being thrown back into the dating scene. So don't be a jerk. Try out and use what you have learned by just asking questions. And when the date is over, you can move on with life. But guess what? You have now got another notch of practicing how to be in front of the opposite sex without fear of rejection or feeling like you're going to be laughed at or stumbling over the words that you are saying, right? We ain't got to do that. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep being a blessing to others, whether they decide to bless us back or not. That's not your issue. Theirs. You will be blessed if you continue to be a blessing, whether you see results from it or not. Because trust me, God is keeping score and you will see results from it. You might not see it from the person that you're actually on a date with, but if you just continue the course, you will reap the benefits. All right. The fifth one. Dating and asking a lot of questions is so important because it establishes connection on things that you both have in common, as well as some of the things that you don't have in common. Now, sometimes people ask me, should I have everything in common in order to have a successful relationship and definitely a marriage? And the answer is no. You don't have to have everything in common. You do need to have things in common, and I'm not even going to put a percentage on it. I'm not even going to put a percentage on it. You do absolutely need to have things in common, but it does not have to be every single solitary thing, because here's the thing, that's boring. If only time that we have good conversations is when we know everything about the thing that you like, I want somebody to be able to teach me something. What is something that you love to do that I have no idea about? That maybe we can do an activity. Maybe you could just take me and show me. It might even be a sporting event. It might be something with carpentry. It might be anything. There's a slew of things. It might be an instrument that you know how to play that I have no idea about. Can you teach me about it? I'm not saying that I want to play it, but I would love to watch you play it. Oh, you're a singer? Please sing. Like whatever your thing is, you need to have some things in common. But you don't need to have everything in common. So this helps to establish connection on things that you have in common, but also can open up your mind to things that you didn't even know existed. So this person is able to teach you about different areas in life that you had no idea existed, or that you didn't even, shown any interest in prior to. But because they love it, it's so good. It's so good when you meet somebody and they have a passion for something, like they exude it. You can hear it. Their body language changes. If they were down here in the dumps, they start talking about their thing. They sit up straight. They more animated. They're talking. They're doing all this stuff. And it's a beautiful thing to watch and witness and experience. So you don't have to be connected on everything, but you do need to have some things in common. The sixth reason why dating and asking questions is so important is because it shows the ability to give and take. And guess what? It also even establishes intimacy. If you're the person that's if you're the person that's always asking questions and you keep getting that yes, no, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but they're very short 1 to 3 word answers, that's a taker. And take heed to takers, because literally that's all they're going to do is take. And they're going to take to the point where you are just completely drained. You don't want to get in bed with a taker. It ain't no fun. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. But it also establishes intimacy. More of us need to be better at being intimate partners. Just better. We got to do better. We have to do better. Being more intimate, right? Give and take. How much are you giving? How much are you taking? This is a part of that reflection when you go away, and then you can assess the situation to see, damn, that's all I did was take. He just took, you know what? I'm tired of talking. Matter of fact, I can't even think in this moment because he took my damn thoughts. That's how much he was taking. He just took everything. It's draining, it's exhausting, and nothing about that is a connection. Nothing about that is a connection when you feel like you are doing nothing and just being taken from. It sucks you dry. It sucks the life out of you. You do not want to get in bed with a person that only is taking. 7. The 7th reason why dating and asking a ton of questions is so important is because it is a way to make the other person feel seen and heard. You see, if you're in a relationship with a taker, you don't feel seen or heard. You don't. However, because so many of us don't feel seen and heard, it gives you the opportunity to look even higher on the spectrum of, I like this person. It doesn't mean that you're going to get in a relationship with them. It doesn't mean that you're going to go to the next level with them, but it does put you in a different box than everybody else, because most people are takers and most people don't allow you to speak. They have a tendency to cut you off when you are speaking. And so when you ask the question and you literally give him time to think, and you remain quiet, not interrupting, now it's like, oh, you know what? I felt good. I felt really good. And when I noticed that when I was doing that, when I was dating, I would always have the next date before this date ended. It was like, okay, so before we leave, we got to figure out when we're going to meet again, or when we're going to date again, or when is the next, whatever the title, the word was that was being used. I don't care. It was always a date planned before this one ended, because most people don't allow you to speak. Most people do not make you feel seen and heard. And this includes friendships. I remember having a friendship with a woman that I was literally telling her, I don't really like talking to you because I don't get to finish my sentence. Now, I didn't use the word, I didn't feel heard. However, that's exactly how I felt. And so after a while, I just pulled away, because I'm like, I actually did give you the opportunity to change. You apologized profusely, but the behavior didn't change. So this is not just applying to your romantic relationships. It can apply to your friendships. It can apply to your family. It can apply to your children. We all want to feel seen and heard, respected as well in our relationships. And so if you're asking a ton of questions, but they're never asking you back, again, don't want to go deeper with you, but you also will never be seen by this person. They want you to see them. They're okay with you asking questions, but as far as getting to know you, X that. Don't really care. Matter of fact, you can pack up. And who wants to be in a long-term relationship or a marriage with a person like that? I can tell you, anybody raising their hand. The 8th reason why dating and asking a ton of questions is so important is because by asking thought-provoking, open-ended questions, it shows your confidence. It shows that you can actually listen and articulate what you want them to give you more information on. It shows that you did hear what they were talking about. So that follow-up question, that does that. The open-ended questions is not it's not a yes or no question. It's not is this gonna do whatever? Are you whatever? All of those lead to yes or no. The thought-provoking question is, how did you feel when blah, blah, blah happened? Or what are you gonna do when you don't get your way, blah, 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 blah. Right? They have to think about those questions like, okay. All right. Yeah. They got to think about those questions. And whenever you get with a person that makes you think, that person is now stimulating your intellectual part of your body. We like those people around because we know that the conversation is not going to remain surface level. I am going to be able to go deeper with you. Does that mean you're going to tell me everything, or that I'm going to tell you everything? Absolutely not. But it does mean that there is an opportunity there for us to take a deeper dive into learning more about one another. So we have to ask a ton of questions. We have to ask a ton of questions. So now we can get the feedback that we are looking for in order to make a proper decision about taking this relationship to the next step. Now, listen, if you want to get in contact with me, I am having a special event curated for Black women July 24th through the 26th. It is called Healing Black Women's Relationships Through Journaling. Now, why journaling? Journaling has been around for a long time, but journaling helps you to go deeper. It's something about putting that pen to paper that allows you to be able to release a lot of these pent up emotions, right? Journaling has been known to decrease depression. It's been known to decrease anxiety. It's also been known to decrease PTSD, as well as increase your cognitive functions and your emotional stability. Why not come and get the correct way on how to journal in order to manifest the relationship that you want? We're going to be talking about a lot of deep stuff. Come ready to work, come ready to go deep. I am going to be teaching this 3-day workshop with Coach LT, because we know it's very important for our community. And by going to workshops, by utilizing the tools that you get, this is how we start to change around our relationships. This is how we start to break these generational curses.